We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vittishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Last week we covered what was Upanishad. The definition of Upanishad was the process of gaining self-knowledge. Then we took up what is this process. Mainly we covered 4 points last week. The first is, what is the definition of Upanishad? Then what is the process of gaining this knowledge? The process is described in Pragyanam Upanishad by Yajnavalkya, the teacher. It's a standard followed in all Vedanta schools. And that method is Shrotravyaha, Mantavyaha, Nidithyasnam. These are the three technical terms used in Pragyanam Upanishad. So Yajnavalkya, the teacher, says, Atmavare Drishtavyaha. Drishtavyaha means know this Atma. You yourself know what is this Atma, realize this Atma. And how do you realize this? Three methods were given. Shrotravyaha. Shrotravyaha means listen to the scriptures from a guru. Mantavyaha means remove your doubts by contemplation on the mantras which you have heard. And the third step is Nidithyasnam, means remove the wrong notions you have held for many, many years. This is usually done by sitting down quietly, thinking about what you have learned, compare it with what you think you are, and then telling yourself, I am not this, I am not this, but I am Atma. That is what is called as Nidithyasnam. Generally, we use the word Nidithyasnam for meditation. Many people don't know what you meditate on. Suppose you don't have any exposure to Shastra, you cannot just sit down and quietly and then hope that things will reveal to yourself. It's not possible. Because when you sit down without any Shastric knowledge, your mind will be wandering in all over the world. So therefore, in Vedanta, it is always suggested that you first listen. Listen to the scriptures. Understand what the scriptures are saying. What is the essence of the scriptures? By scriptures, what I mean is Prasthana Trayam, which means Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Brahma Sutra. So that was the second point we discussed last week, the process of gaining the knowledge. Then I said the central theme of all the Upanishads is a verse from Brahmananda Valli, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Na Paraha. What is the translation of this? Brahma Satyam. That means the cause of this universe, which we are calling it as Brahman, or awareness principle, consciousness principle, from which the whole universe rises, the whole universe rests, and the whole universe resolves. Always remember this simple definition of Brahman, which is given in the Taittiriya 3rd chapter. Brahman is used in Vedanta to denote awareness, consciousness principle. And it is the substratum for the entire universe. That is our object of study. Therefore, the central theme of the Upanishads is Brahma Satyam. This pure consciousness, which is existing by itself. Therefore, it is called as Satyam. What about the world which we are experiencing? The world we are experiencing is called as Jagat. And that Jagat is Mithya. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. What is the meaning of Mithya? Mithya doesn't mean it is non-existent. Many people do not understand the word Mithya in Vedanta. As you complete the study of the 12 Upanishads, you will be very clear what is Mithya and what is Satya. So Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. So Jagat is an appearance like we see a dream. Like that, this waking world is also an appearance which manifests and unmanifests. The third portion of that Brahmananda Valli, the Vakyam, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha. Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha means you can even replace the Jiva with Aham. Aham Brahmaiva na Paraha. I am that pure consciousness. I don't have any difference whatsoever with that pure consciousness, which is the cause of this whole universe. So these 3 sentences is the central portion of the entire study of the 2 years. At the end of 2 years, if you say, yes, this, what we had introduced in the very first talk, I am able to acknowledge it, realize that it is the truth, and I am able to live now. That's all. That is what is called as Jivan Mukti. I am free. I am free from the bondage of identifying myself with the body and mind as the self. So that was the third topic we took last week. The last topic was, what are the different names of the Upanishads? There were 1,180 Upanishads once upon a time. I introduced to you 112 Upanishads. And there is a book from Parimal Publications in Delhi, which gives the whole Upanishads, all the details of these Upanishads. The central message of all these Upanishads is given in that beautiful 2 volumes. At the end of last week's session, there was one person, Bart, who took the effort in trying to find out if he could get the PDF version of this book. And he could locate it. I will try to send this PDF through the WhatsApp message today. At the end of today's session, I'll try and send that PDF version for your reference. Very beautiful collection of that. It runs into thousands of, I think it's 1,000 pages. So I will try to, I'll send you that PDF version. So these were the 4 things we covered last week. Today, I plan to take 3 topics. The first topic is Mahavakya. The second topic is the important mantras from different Upanishads. And the third topic is Adhyasa Bhashyam. This was not included in my previous notes. I thought it is something which is important, and I will talk about it at the end, whenever the time comes. So with that brief introduction, I will now go straight to the Mahavakyam portion. What is this Mahavakyam? See, many sentences are there in the Upanishads. Many sentences, many verses are there. In all these Upanishads, you will find 1 or 2 verses which describe the central theme of the particular Upanishad. Sometimes you may have more than 1, 2, you can have 5 Mahavakyas in one Upanishad, like Pragyanam Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad. These are very big, voluminous Upanishads. You can have many Mahavakyas. Mahavakya doesn't mean it is a big sentence, Mahan. What it means is, it has got the content of Jeevartma Aikyam. Oneness between the individual and the total. In Vedanta, we always analyze the world in 2 ways. One is at the individual level. That means I, the Jeevartma. And then at the total level, we call it Paramatma. Now, what do you mean by oneness? See, if you see the equation which is given here, 7 + 1, 8, is equal to 10 - 2, which is 8. If you look at this left-hand side and the right-hand side, in between the equal to, all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 6 digits are all different. Completely different. 7 is not 1, 1 is not 10, 10 is not 2, plus is not equal, equal is not minus. All these are different. But ultimately, they are denoting only 1 digit, which is 8. So the 7, 1, 10, 2 is called as Vachyartha. Vachyartha means literal meaning. 8 is called as Lakshyartha. So that is with reference to mathematics. Now, coming to Vedanta about Jiva and Paramatma, the Lakshyartha means indicative meaning. I am the Jiva and there is a totality called Paramatma in this world. Now, this Jiva, I am with a body and mind. The whole world is the Swarupam of Paramatma. It is the nature of Paramatma to manifest as this entire world, including all the galaxies, including all the stars, the planets, everything. What the Mahavakya says is that without this medium of the body and mind and the world, there exists a principle. That principle is called as awareness, consciousness, pure existence and pure bliss. Very, very important point to note when we start the study of Vedanta. We do not know this existence principle, consciousness principle, this blissful principle. We are not aware of it because our sense organs are not designed to perceive the subject, which is the Atma. The sense organs are designed to perceive the world, which is the objective world. What Upanishads say is that there is something called as pure consciousness. As a student of the Upanishads, the best way to go through this study of 2 years is keep an open mind. Do not bring in your own thoughts and emotions and likes, dislikes, your own projections. When you listen to Vedanta, keep your own thoughts aside. Don't give relevance to that. First, let the Shravanam happen. Let the scripture come into your intellect. Let it come and reside in your intellect. This knowledge of Atma, which the sense organs cannot perceive, the mind cannot perceive, let that knowledge come into your intellect and let it stay. Let it get soaked for some time. You take it with Shraddha, with faith in what the scripture, the mother, scripture is called as Shruti, Shruti mother. That scriptures is trying to teach me my own nature. Let that knowledge percolate in me. I will have doubts. I will have notions rising up in my mind, which will throw up some objections. Keep them away. You say that, let me go through the scriptures, hand in hand, let me go along. Let the mother's Shruti hold me for 2 years. I will hold that teaching. While the teaching is going on, slowly, slowly, my own doubts will get cleared. And when the doubts get cleared, which is through Mananam, Mananam is a process which starts automatically in your mind. It is when your Shravanam has become optimum, the Mananam starts working inside your mind. And the third process of Nidithyasnam starts when your Mananam is complete, your Nidithyasnam starts. These are all automatic processes happening in the cognitive internal process. You don't have to do anything. You just have to keep your mind open to the study. As you learn what you did not believe in initially, at the end of 2 years, you will say, that is the truth. This is the process. And what is the obstacles which keep coming? There are 2 main obstacles. One is called as, Malam Impurity. The impurity is nothing but your doubts. How can this be true? How is it possible to have Atma existing separately? How is it possible? All this is all doubts in your own mind. It is not a fact. It is a doubt in your mind. So this is called as the Malam, which is normally in the Gita, we say, you get rid of this impurity by Karma Yoga, by thinking that I am doing all actions with the notion that this is the body which is acting, not me, the consciousness. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, if you remember the Bhagavad Gita. Then the second objection which normally comes is due to the Ajnanam, ignorance. So that ignorance is what we are trying to remove by Shravanam. Okay, now coming back to this, this chart here. So Jeevartma is the individual. In Sanskrit, it is called as Vyashti. This whole process of Mahavakyam is called as a technical study. This study is important. This is what you will get at the end of. See, I'm just giving you an introduction to the Mahavakyam. I'm not going to go into the details. This is just an introduction. And when we study the actual Upanishads, you will be able to study the deeper aspects of this. So, Vachyartha, I said, is the literal meaning. The jiva. What is the direct meaning, literal meaning? It is the reflection of consciousness in the mind. That is what is called as the jiva. And this jiva, this reflection is limited. It is called as reflected chaitanyam. It is called as abhasa chaitanyam. Now this jiva is located and it travels from one body to another body. So what is this jiva? It is not the gross body. It is the soul, which is inside the body, which that soul is defined in Vedanta as abhasa chaitanyam. Abhasa means it is reflected. It is reflected where? It is reflected in the mind. So it is a subtle body, which is what is called as the jiva. Antakarana is pratibhimbita chaitanya. That means the mind instrument is nothing but it is flooded with consciousness and it is dependent on the awareness principle or consciousness principle. So this definition of jiva is what is called as vachyartha, the word meaning. But what is the indirect meaning? Indirect meaning is this jiva is not this body with the mind, but it is the pure consciousness. It is the chit. That is what is called as lakshyartha. So without the body and mind and the world, this consciousness can exist. It is limitless. It is not limited by time. And it is the locus, adhara chaitanyam. Adhara for what? It is the locus for the gross body, subtle body, and the causal. And this Atma is locationless. It cannot travel. It doesn't travel. It is the body which travels. So this is called as Bimba Adhisthana Sakshi Chaitanyam. These are all Sanskrit words. Don't worry if you don't understand. It is just, as in English, it's called as original consciousness. Pure consciousness without the medium of the body and mind. And it is called as Satya. Satya means what? It can exist independently. And this independent consciousness, awareness, God, can exist without the medium. That is why it is called as Nirupadikam. Whereas the body and mind is with the Upadi and the reflected consciousness. So these are the two portions we should be clear about. I am the jiva, right from in Bhagavad Gita itself in 2nd chapter, this is what is the central message. from verse number 11 to 30, this is what is the central message. I am not the Deha, I am the Dehi. I am not born, I am not dying, I am the pure consciousness which is eternal. These are the words, which meanings of words in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Same thing is there in the Mahavakya. That what we have seen so far is the Vyashti. At the total level, what happens? It is called as Samashti. So like there is a consciousness principle, which is the indweller of this body, which is the living principle, sentient principle in the body. In the similar way, there is Paramatma, the entire universe. In that entire universe, there is Vachyartha, Lakshyartha. Vachyartha means the meaning of the words. Vachyam means Vakyartha. So Vachyartham there also means the reflected consciousness in the Prapancha. Prapancha means the entire world of 5 elements. And what is the Lakshyartha? Lakshyartha is the indicative meaning of Paramatma, which is pure consciousness. Because pure consciousness is common to both the individual and the total. There is oneness between the individual body and the total universe. So Prapancha has got existence, Sat principle, pure existence principle. Like the Jiva has got the consciousness principle. When you look at the world, always you will say the world is, the car is, the house is, the book is, the mobile is, the class is, my mind is, my body is, everything is. So what is common in all the world? What is common is the isness, existence. So whenever we study the world, we say we study the existence part of the world. In Drisya Viveka, we have seen that Sat Chit Ananda Asti Bhati Priyam. Those of you who have studied Drisya Viveka will remember this. Asti Bhati Priyam, world exists, it is illumined, and it is bliss. It is these 3 factors of the world is the Lakshya. Then what is the Vachyartha, Nama and Rupa? The name and forms are the Vachya. So this pure consciousness, it is limitless. What does it mean by, what is the meaning of limitless? It is all pervading. Pure consciousness is, there is no limitation with reference to time, no limitation with reference to space. That is why it is called as the light of all the lights. Jyotisham api jyotihi in Bhagavad Gita. Na tatra suryo bhati in Kathopanishad, Mundokupanishad. All this, they say it is the light of all lights. Because this light is an independent spiritual light. So, coming back to Mahavakyam, the limitations are seeming, they are not vastavam. It is not real. It is not factual. What is factual? Limitless space is factual. For example, if you take a hall or a pot or a stadium, we say there is space in a pot, in a hall, in a stadium. Now, why is that space, hall space is different than the pot space is different than this, the space in the stadium, and the space in the whole world is different than the space in the stadium. So how is this limitation of space born? Limitation is born because of the walls which are enclosing the space. So similarly, consciousness is one. It is seemingly limited in a body and a mind, and therefore we say the three bodies, the five koshas, and the three avasthas are limited. So it is a seeming. It is seeming means what? It just appears to be limited. The pure consciousness, we are talking about the pure awareness. When do I experience this awareness in a pure form? When I'm sleeping. When I'm sleeping, what happens? I have ignorance. What Vedanta says is, you wake up. Wake up from your sleep state of ignorance. You have slept for many, many births. Now you have come to Vedanta study, you're going to study the Upanishads. The Upanishads clearly state, in the sleep state, we are one with this Atma. We are one with the truth principle. So drop this ignorance about who I am, thinking that I am this body and mind, which is seen in the waking and the dream states, which is not seen in the sleep state. Now you wake up to your truth. The truth is, you are the Atma which lies beyond the three upadhis, beyond the three states. That is the message of the Mahavakya. In every Upanishad, this is the meaning, what the Upanishad wants to convey. And where does this whole world, in which there are five koshas, the three bodies, the three states, where is this all world rising from? This whole world is rising from that pure awareness. It rests in that awareness, it resolves into that awareness. That awareness never dies. That awareness is never born. But everybody tells me I am born. This is the mistake which we need to correct. The body is born, it's a fact. I am born is not a fact. This is what is to be corrected in your intellect. Atma, when we say, it refers to the common lakshyartha. Now you understand, now you are able to understand. What is vachyartha? Vachyartha is the common meaning which I take myself to be, which is the body. What is lakshyartha? That Upanishad is teaching me, I am pure consciousness. But I don't feel that consciousness today. How can I take it? Keep studying the scriptures. One day you will say, yes. Today I can't say this, I am consciousness. Yes, you can't say, because the mind has got notions. So Jeevartma has got two portions, Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. Paramatma has got two portions, Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. What we need to understand is, contemplate in your own mind whenever you have the time. This is what is the message, Mahavakya. Now, can I take this as a truth for myself? I don't need to share it with anybody. So let this thought, let this vichara, let this analysis go on. And then you will arrive at this conclusion that my continuous nature, there is some nature of mine which connects the waking, the dream, and the sleep. It connects. What is that connection principle? That connection principle is this pure consciousness, which is changeless. It has not changed at all. That is the adhishtanam, which has not changed. So what I am doing with this study of Upanishad, I am trying to understand the changeless nature of mind. And I will hold on to that changeless nature and learn to drop the changing nature. Once I do that, what happens is Mahavakya becomes a truth for me. Normally in the Upanishads, they give this story of Mahavakya. What is the story? The story is there is a student. A student goes to a guru and then asks the guru, "Oh Guru, teach me, who am I? I don't understand. I don't think this life, I have already analyzed my life. Dharma, Artha, Kama, like I said in the first talk, these are all Dharma, Artha, Kama or Purusharthas. They are the goals of life, but I have realized that they are not permanent. They are not the real self. I am sure, because that is what I am feeling. It is not myself, because it is it's very transient. I feel that I am someone who is different than all these goals which I achieve, different than the money in my bank, different than the properties I own, different than the children I have. I am someone different. I feel so. This is my own anubhava. Is there anything permanent in life? Which is what Buddha also asked. Is there anything? He saw so much of misery around. So then the Guru says, Pragyanam Brahma. This is from Untitled, the 3rd chapter. We will come to those mantras a little later. So the Guru says, Lakshana Vakya, that means he says, he gives you an indicator. He says that this is what you are. Pragyanam Brahma. There is consciousness, which is Brahman. This is from Rig Veda. It is a Mahavakya. And then the student asks the teacher, where is this consciousness? Then the Guru says, Tattvamasi, which is the Upadesha Vakyam. It is also a Mahavakyam. This is taken from Sama Veda. There are 4 Vedas which I explained last week. So one Upanishad, one mantra from each Veda is taken as in the story format. So the Upadesha is Tattvamasi. You are that consciousness. This is in Chandogya Upanishads, the 6th chapter. Then what happens? The student comes and says, I have gone through these mantras. I have gone through this teaching of yours. And the Guru says, contemplate more. Contemplate on this self. That is what is called as Anusandhana Vakyam. That means you do Nidithyasnam. Coming from Atharvana Veda, Mandukya Upanishad. Very powerful mantra. I am Atma Brahma. Chatushpad. This Brahman is made up of 4 quarters. Waking, dream, sleep, and Turiyam. This Turiyam is the ultimate common element in the 3 states. This Turiyam is your nature. And at last, what happens? The student comes back and says, I have now realized Aham Brahma Asmi, Anubhava Vakyam. I am that pure consciousness. This is from Brihadaneka Upanishad, Yajurveda. So in a story format, the Mahavakyam is explained like this. So the 4 sample Mahavakyams, which we have seen here, is how a student learns about his nature from the Upanishads. And the nature is different than Vakyartha, which is I am the individual with the body and mind. It is this we have to learn to drop, and I have to hold on to the Upanishadic teaching of Lakshyartha about myself, which is I am the pure awareness. This is the crux of all Vedantic study. Whether you study Bhagavad Gita, whether you study Upanishads, any Upanishad you take, you can study all the 1,100 Upanishads, you can study 112 Upanishads. But the core of the teaching, if you go through 5 or 6 Upanishads in this study of 12 Upanishads, you will automatically understand your nature. I give you guarantee it's possible. Right in the first Upanishad, when we do the 19th mantra of Kaivalyopunisha, many of you will understand, oh, this is what is my nature. Mayeva sakalam jatam. We'll study that verse now. So this Lakshana Vartha, I've given you the details here. The student reaches the master, teacher has to define what is Brahma, and then he gives this definition which occurs in the Aitareya Upanishad. The last portion, it says, Pragyanam Brahma. In this pure consciousness, the whole world is existing. It is the basis, not only for the individual, but it is also the basis of the entire cosmos. And that is why they say there is oneness between the individual and the total. The oneness comes from the pure awareness principle. The second stage is this Upadesha Vakyam, objective definition. And the teacher points out, you are that consciousness. It is not somewhere behind the clouds. God is not behind the clouds. Realize it right now in your own nature. That is the beauty of Advaita Vedanta. It is telling us, right now, get your freedom. Moksha is not a posthumous reward. It is right now. Get it and be a Jivan Mukta. Let the life go on. Doesn't matter. That is as per the law of karma. It is an insignificant portion of your life. What is significant is you know your nature because you have studied the Upanishad. 9 times in Chandogya Upanishad, the Guru repeats, Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. The Guru teaches 9 times to the student. Then the third stage is Mahavakyam. It is a realization. The student contemplates and understands, this self is Brahman. This needs to be changed to the Anusandhana Vakyam. I have not changed it. It is stage 3 is Anusandhana. And the fourth stage is Anubhava-Vakyam. Student comes back and says, Aham Brahma Asmi. It is intimately experienced and is constantly aware of the truth. So in the beginning also, there was this pure consciousness before the world was created. Even now, this consciousness continues to be there as a substratum for the entire universe. When you go to sleep tonight, you know that you are not sleeping in your body or mind. You are sleeping in Atma, which is your real nature. From that Atma, you are waking up again tomorrow morning and again experiencing the world. So that is the study of Mahavakya, which is one portion of what I want to cover today. Then the second portion which I want to talk about is this important mantras. I have just taken a sample and just for those people who are got absolutely no knowledge of Upanishads, this portion will be useful. If you have not studied any Upanishad before, because this course which I'm doing now is after after I have done Tattvabodha, Atmabodha, entire 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, and then also Dridrisha Viveka. Those people have not got exposed to Upanishad. Therefore, I have taken a sample. So if you're new to Upanishads, this will give you an idea of what is this Upanishad, what are they teaching. By now itself, you would have gathered. The central theme of the Upanishad is the oneness between me and the totality of the entire universe, which is called as the pure consciousness existence, which you can call it very divine. Anybody who has got realization through music, through any form of realization, if they have understood this truth. We are going to study 12 Upanishads. These are some samples of what they are going to teach us. Kathopanishad, a very beautiful Upanishad, where a student who is just, I think, about 8 years old, and he goes to the Lord of Death, and he asks this doubt. It's a story form. The Upanishad comes in a story form, and he's asking not anybody, not any other normal guru and all that. He asks the Lord itself, the Lord of what? Lord of Death, who controls this life, in this life principle in every body. Yamadharmaraja. What is the doubt? When a man is dead, some say he exists, and some say he does not exist. I would like to know, what do you see? This is what the student in Kathopanishad wants to learn. The same question the student puts again in the Upanishad after a few mantras. Sometimes when you study these questions, it gives you a lot of teaching. It tells us how we should also think and how we should ask our teacher. Anyatra dharma, anyatra dharma, anyatra asmat krita kritascha, anyatra bhuta cha bhavya cha, yattat pashyati tatvad. This boy is asking the same Lord of Death. Now, what is he asking? What do you see? Because you are seeing both existence and you are seeing existence and people disappearing. Appearing people, disappearing people in this universe. You are a consciousness principle. You are the Lord. You are that pure consciousness. People appear, people disappear. Do they exist after they disappear? That was the first question. Here now he says, in this world there is virtue, right and wrong, virtue and vice, right and unright. In this world, I see cause and effect. People are born, they suffer. People go back, again they have joy. There is a cause for the entire world. A tree comes from a seed then again becomes a fruit, fruit becomes a seed, again there is a cause-effect relationship. There is a principle of time and place, space. Cause-effect is nothing but time-space principle. What is existing earlier in time is called as cause. What exists later in point of time is called as effect. So the question is Is there anything beyond time? Is there anything beyond past and future? Is there anything? And to that question in Kathopanishad, the Lord teaches him, Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit, nayam kutaschina babhuva kaschit, ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. This is a very similar mantra to the Bhagavad Gita mantra. Bhagavad Gita has taken this mantra, bodily lifted, Vyasacharya has bodily lifted this mantra from the Kathopanishad. The 20th mantra of chapter 2, Najayate Mriyate Va. That same mantra is in this format. One or two words have been changed. So what is the meaning of this mantra? Lord Yamadharmaraja is teaching Nachiketa and is saying that this Atman, this pure consciousness, which is your real nature, it is not born, it doesn't die. It doesn't spring from anything because it is always existing. It is eternal. It is everlasting. It lasts. This is what lasts when a person dies. It never dies. This Atma never dies. It is ancient. It was there before the creation was born. It is the Sat principle. This Atma is never slain. When the body is destroyed, the Atma remains absolutely pure. It never gets contaminated. It never gets slain. This was the teaching to Arjuna right in the 2nd chapter. So what did Lord Krishna teach to Arjuna? That you are that eternal Atma. You are that pure awareness. Whatever is being taught in the Kathopanishad, same thing in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna teaches. Then, in the same Upanishad, the Lord describes what is this Atma. Very beautiful mantra. Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, avabhyayam, tatharasam, nityam, agandam. So what is this Atma? It is without sound, without touch, without form, without decay, without taste, without smell. What does this mean? It is beyond the 5 sense organs. So can I see the Atma? Can I touch the Atma? Impossible. Why? Because Upanishad claims it is Ashabdam, asparsham, arupam, abhyayam, tatharasam, nityam, agandam. So this is the nature of Atma. Never in meditation try to bring a form and try to imagine. That is at an initial stage when you take a form of a devata. But you have to go beyond the form. Another description, beautiful description, which comes in the Kathopanishad. So in the previous mantra, it says it is without beginning, without end. It is eternal and changeless. And there is no death for that Atma. So this Kathopanishad, with this central message that Atma is never born, never dies, it is beyond the 5 sense organs. I can only know this Atma because of the Upanishadic teaching. I hold on to the teaching. I remember the teaching. When I get up in the morning, I remember this verse. I stay on with this verse throughout my day. Let the actions happen at the body level, at the mind level, but at the deepest level of my own personality, I am with this thought. It is possible. Always I can abide in this teaching. Na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, na me nema vidyato bhanti, kuto imaknihi. This verse is very, very famous. We also chant this when we do the arati at home or in the temple. The Purohit, he will do the arati and chant this mantra. What is the meaning of this mantra? It says that sun does not shine there. Where the Atma is, there is no sun, there is no moon, there is no stars. The lightning does not shine in Atma. How can this small fire, which I am now rotating in front of you, oh Bhagwan, how can this fire light you up? Because you are the light which is lighting up this whole universe. That is the feeling of the bhava, the attitude of a seeker. By this light of consciousness, the whole world is shining. That is the thought we should bring in our meditation. Right in the first Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, you can see so many ideas are coming now, which you have never learned before. I can meditate. Definitely I can meditate because this is the truth. This is the fact. You are not meditating on anything, imagination in your mind. It is the fact of life. That is a sample of Katha Upanishad. Now comes Mundaka Upanishad. In Mundaka Upanishad, the teacher is Angiras. And the student is called as Saunaka. And what is the question in this Mundaka Upanishad? Very powerful question. Like you have the question in the Katha Upanishad, Anyatra Dharma, Anyatra Adharma. Like that, you have a question here. The question is, what is that, having known which all things in the universe become known? Kasminno bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. What can, tell me one thing by which if I come to know that, I will be knowing the whole universe. So Angiras, the teacher, says, very simple. By knowing the cause, you will know the effect. There is only one cause for this universe, and that is what is called as Brahman. That is what is called as consciousness, pure consciousness. And how is it that the student says, how can I understand this consciousness? Again, the teacher says, Yatad adreshyam agrahyam agotram avarnam achakshushrotram tadapani padam nityam vibhum sarvagatam. These are all the indicators by which you can know this Atma. Atma is something which is invisible. It cannot be held by your hands. It has no origination. It has no attributes. It has no eyes or ears or legs or parts. It is eternal. At the same time, it is full of manifestations. It can manifest as anything in this universe because it is a light, it is the substratum. It is the subtlest of the subtle. That is the imperishable being. So this pure consciousness is called as a pure being. Therefore, in meditation, you can tell yourself, I am the pure presence. I exist all the time. Whether the mind is in sleep state, whether the mind is in dream state, whether the mind is in waking state, I am the pure presence in all the three states. The wise people, they perceive this consciousness as the source of all creation. And then in Mundaka Upanishad, it gives you two examples, two birds, Dwa Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishasva Vajate. Two birds are there in this body. In the tree, there are two birds. Similarly, like that, there are two birds in this body. One bird is eating the fruits in the tree. Another bird is just watching without eating. Samane vrikshe purusho. So this second verse, it will tell you that ego is this first bird. This ego I in this body, in this tree body, there is ego I, and which is sunk in ignorance. It is always deluded by things and objects in the world. It is grieving because of its impotence. I'm so limited. I can't enjoy the world. I can enjoy, but only a little bit. I want eternal joy. So this one bird in this body is always running around the world, dejected. But when this bird sees the other bird, which is self-effulgent, which is the third mantra of the Mundaka Upanishad, the third chapter, it says, the seer, that consciousness principle is an independent principle. That is the second bird, which is the supreme being in this body. It is a source of this entire body, mind, and the world. So this jiva shakes off all the demerits and merits, the punya papam from his account. By looking at this, by just looks at this consciousness and becomes one with that consciousness. It attains the supreme state of equipoise. This is the way Mundaka Upanishad conveys the meaning of oneness, Mahavakyam. Third Upanishad, Keno Upanishad. Keno Upanishad also, the teacher is there. You see, that is what I said in the first talk. There is a samvada. There is a dialogue always between a teacher and a student in most of these Upanishads. Keno Upanishad, the teacher and the student. The student says, Keneshitam patiti preshitam manaha, kena prana prathama prokta yuktaha, keneshitam vachimimam vadanti, chakshushrotram kau devo yunakti. Tell me, O teacher, who wills the prana in this body? Who wills this light in the mind? Commanded by what is this prana running in this body? How does this speech occur? I'm speaking, but what is that power which gives this energy to the speech? What intelligence directs the eyes and the ears to move in the direction of form, color, sound? How do this? These are all, my body is inner. How? What is the power behind this body? To that student, intelligent student, see the question. See the question in every Upanishad like this. So much of meaning in them. Shrotasya shrotram manaso mano yatat vacho hi vacham pranasya pranaha chakshusha chakshu. What is this Atma? It is the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, the tongue of the tongue, the life of life, the eye of the eye. So what does this mean? It is the power from where the eyes and the sense organs, they draw this power, the mind draws its power, the prana draws its power. All this is happening because of this Atma, the self. If I come to know this Atma, rise above my senses, the sense organs, I learn to drop, the mind I learn to drop, then what happens? I become immortal. Because this Atma is immortal. Knowing this Atma, I become immortal. The one who knows Brahman becomes Brahman because then he becomes immortal. Everybody wants to remain in this world. Nobody wants to die from this world because that is the nature. You can't Avoid your nature. It is a fact. You live eternally. Only thing you don't know that I am this pure Atma. How to know this Atma? Pratibodha viditam matam. Mritatvam himyandate. Every thought I have, every modification in the mind I have is illumined by this Atma. This is the way to know the Atma. I have thoughts, I have joy, I have sorrow. All this is illumined by the pure consciousness. That was the third Upanishad, Keno Upanishad. Next Upanishad, Chandogya. In this, again, it's a very similar to Mundaka Upanishad. Here it says that by which you hear, what is heard, never heard becomes heard, what is never thought becomes thought, what is never becomes known becomes known. What is that teaching? The student is asking, what is the teaching by which you know the power behind the ears, the power behind the mind, the power behind the intellect? Again, the teacher there says, like you know the cause of a pot is this lump of earth, all objects you know, if you know, earth is the cause. Earth is the reality of all the pots. So if you know the cause, then you will know the world. What is the cause of the world? The teacher says, Sadeva Saumyam idam agrasit Ekam eva advitiyam. This is a very important shloka. It's taken up in very big detail in Panchadasi, another text. Anyway, I won't talk about it, which I'm taking in Wednesday sessions. This mantra, it says that in the beginning of the universe, before the creation of the universe, there was this pure consciousness, and its nature is Ekam eva advitiyam. Ekam, one. Eva, it only was, it alone was. Advitiyam, Advitiyam means it was non-dual. The analysis of these three words, it is explained in almost 109 verses in chapter 2 of the Panchadasi. 3 words. Ekam eva advitiyam. One without a second. So this pure, in simple words, what it means is, this pure consciousness is alone by itself, independently existing. In that consciousness, you do not see the world. It is existing by itself. When you experience blankness in your meditation, it means that blankness is an object of this awareness. I mean, I can go on because this verse is very powerful, but what the Upanishad says is, this subtlest of the self, Tattvamasi, it is the truth of the universe and of you, Shvetaketu. Shvetaketu is the student. Uddalaka is the teacher. So here, the student gets the teaching from the father. 9 times the teacher, the father takes small examples. Know the cause, you will know the effect. Know gold, you will know all ornaments. Automatically, you will know all the ornaments. Whether it is chain, bangle, ring, everything you will know if you know gold. Similarly, if you know consciousness, awareness, you will know that everything in the universe is coming from that pure consciousness, awareness. Where is it? Tattvamasi, it is you yourself. That is your nature. And in Chandogya there is so the first part of Chandogya is the 6th chapter, where this story comes, where the father and the son, they have a dialogue. Then in the 7th chapter, there's a dialogue between Sanat Kumara and Narada. Narada is a student there. He goes to Sanat Kumara, the teacher, and he says, again, teach me. I know, Sanat Kumara says, I know everything I know so many Shastras. I know astronomy, I know grammar, I know what lies under earth, and I know so many sciences. But, oh teacher, my sorrow is still not gone. Can you teach me how do I get rid of this sorrow? Then the teacher says, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham na alpe sukham asti. Very important statement in this Chandogya 7th chapter. That which is infinite is the source of happiness. You cannot get any happiness, or you cannot get rid of your joy by knowing the world, objective world, because it is an unending world. It's a transient world. It is an impermanent world. It is unreal world. Know the subject, which is the consciousness, which is beyond time, which is infinite. Infinite means beyond time, beyond space. Knowing that, you will be able to get rid of sorrow. Then the student asks, what is that? What is that truth? What is that source which you're talking about? And that source is described here. Yatra nanyat pachyati, nanyat shrunoti, nanyat vijanati, sabhoma. That which is in which one sees nothing, one hears nothing, one knows nothing. That is called as the infinite. What about the world? In which one sees something, one hears something, one knows something, that is mithya, that is transient. The seer is infinite, the seer is permanent, seer is consciousness. Then the student says, what is this power? Where does it rest? How does it rest? Then Sanat Kumara says, it is self-evident. It is got its own power. It does not depend on anything else. That is the nature of consciousness. 4 Upanishads. I'm sure you're all excited. Prashna Upanishad. 6 questions, 6 disciples. What are the questions they ask? Where has this prana come from? How does it divide itself into apana, samana, vyana, and all that, the 5? How does it divide? How does it support this body? Another question. What is that which sleeps in a man? When a man sleeps, what sleeps? The mind. What is awake? The consciousness is awake when the man is sleeping. What is the devata who sees the dream? What is the principle? It is the light of consciousness which sees the dream. Whose is this happiness? On what all this depend? It is the consciousness principle. Suppose you meditate on Om. Every day you meditate till your death. Where does that Upasaka go after his death? These are some of the questions asked in the Prashno Upanishad. I've just taken 3 important questions. There are another 3 questions. Ishavasya Upanishad. Isha Om Ishavasya Midagam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Taktena Bhunjita Magrita Kasit Siddhana. This whole world is enveloped by this pure consciousness. And this consciousness is clothed by Lord. You renounce the world and attach yourself to this pure consciousness. That is moksha. Taittiriya Upanishad. Tasmad vaye tasmad atmana akasha sambhutaha akashat vayuhu vayoragnihi agnerapaha adabhya prithibhihi prithibhya oshadaya oshadaya viannam annat purushaha. What is a very, very important mantra which says, from this Atma, from this pure consciousness, space is born. See the order of how things are born in this world. From the pure consciousness, the space is born. From space, air is born. From air, fire is born. From fire, water is born. From fire, from water, earth is born. From earth, all the food is born. And from the food, man is born. This is how the analysis of the 5 elements and the 5 attributes of the elements is taught in Taittiriya Upanishad, and it teaches you Panchakosha Viveka. The 5 dresses worn by all of us. Svetashvara Upanishad. When the yogin realizes the truth of this awareness, this awareness is a self-luminous entity, and it is unborn, eternal, and free of all modifications born of Prakriti. So what does the yogi realize? He realizes that in this body there is Atma, which is free from the modifications of the mind. Prakriti here means the free from the modifications of the body, which is the Sthula Shariram. The body has got 6 modifications, Tattvoda, Asti, Jayate, Vardate, Viprinapate, Vinashyati, all that, yeah? So these modifications belong to the body. The thoughts are also born, they exist, again they die. So the subtle body is having modification, the gross body is having modifications. Beyond these 2 is this Atma, which is modification less, no modification at all. There is no Jara, Vyadi and all that for this Atma. Then it gives a description of the Atma itself. It is hidden in all the beings. It is all pervading. It is the inner self of all the creatures, whether it is an ant to an elephant. The Atma, the Antaryami principle is the same, one principle. It is that principle which presides over the actions of all the beings. And this pure being is free from the 3 gunas of the Prakriti, Nirguna Tattva. Aitareya Upanishad, I've seen this before, Pragyanam Brahma in the Mahavakya. Mandukya Upanishad, this also we have seen in the Mahavakya portion, I am Atma Brahma. This Atma has got 4 quarters, we have seen. In Mandukya Upanishad, this mantra comes in as the indicative meaning of that pure awareness. Nanta prajnam, na bahish prajnam, no bhayata prajnam, na prajnam, all that. It is not consciousness of the inner world. It is not conscious of the external world. It is not conscious of both the internal and external world. But what is it? It is beyond the sense organs. beyond all the empirical vyavahara, it is not comprehended by the mind, cannot be inferred by the mind. These are all the negative. It cannot be done, neti neti. But what is it in a positive way? It is shantam, peaceful, absolute peace. There is nothing beyond this Atma. If you know that this in Atma there is nothing else, and you meditate on that pure Atma, then what happens? Your mind quietens down. This is the way to get rid of sorrow. This is the way to eternal happiness. This is the way to abide in your true nature. This is called as the fourth state. Fourth compared to the waking, dream and sleep, but it is the absolute state in which all the three states are coming and going. That is the nature of Atma. Kaivalyopunisha, Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mai Sarvam Pratishtitam, Mai Sarvam Layam Yati, Tad Brahma Advayam Asmi. In me, the consciousness, everything is born. In me, the consciousness, it alone exists. In me, the consciousness, it dissolves. This is the Mahavakyam of the Kaivalyopunisha, which we'll be seeing next week or whenever we start this Upanishad. Pragyanam Upanishad, a very huge, voluminous, the biggest of all the Upanishad. I don't know, 600, 700 mantras are there. You can see the chart which I gave you last week. Aham Brahmasmi is from this Upanishad. We have seen this before. And knowing this Brahman, I am that Brahman, you can be free. That is the central message of this Upanishad, Pragyanam Upanishad. The question is, what did that Brahman knew, which was before creation? That Brahman, that pure consciousness, knew itself to be the substratum for the entire cosmos. So you also, today, if you know that Brahman as the consciousness and know that consciousness as your own nature, you will be free. Then in Pragyanam Upanishad, a very beautiful section comes in the second chapter, analysis of the sleep state. In the sleep state, what happens? All the sense organs, they get absorbed. The mind gets absorbed. And then it rests in the Atma. There's a big analysis there in that chapter. This mantra of Pragyanam Upanishad talks about the process of teaching. And that process is Shrotrabhyaha, Mantavyaha, Nidithyasnam. That is coming from this particular mantra. I have given the quote for that. That's all. And in this Pragyanam Upanishad, the description of Atma is, it is immutable, like the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Aksharam. It is the witness. It is never heard, but it is the hearer. It is never thought, but it is the thinker. It is the never known, but it is the knower. It is changeless. It is unmanifest. That is the Atma. And where does all the pranas, they rest? They all rest in this Atma. Again, this is from Pragyanam Upanishad. Through the mind alone, we need to realize this Atma. That is what is said in the Amrit Bindu Upanishad also. In Amrit, this Amrit Bindu Upanishad is a minor Upanishad, but it has got these two beautiful verses. Therefore, I picked it. Mind is said to be of two types. One is impure with thoughts of desires, and the second is pure mind without desires. Very beautiful Upanishad. It tells you what your mind is. Very simple. Everybody can understand. There is a pure mind and there is an impure mind. Impure mind is what? Full of desires. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want this. Whole life is, that is an impure mind. What is the mind which is pure, which has got which you are trying to make the mind pure? Just dropping all this desires is called as pure mind. Then what is moksha? Manayeva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshe. Mind alone is the cause of bondage, and mind alone is the cause of freedom for the human beings. Mind attached to the sense object is the cause of bondage. Mind devoid of the desires and the objects is free, and that mind is Jivan Mukta Jiva. That is, I am that free feeling will be there when you have this pure mind. Muktiko Upanishad I have covered in the last talk, a dialogue between Rama and Hanumanji, where Rama gives description of thousands of branches, all talk about Upanishads. So many Upanishads are there in each branch of the Veda. When in the olden times this existed. Now 112 Upanishads, we have the mantras very clearly and their meanings. Out of those 112 Upanishads, Shankaracharya's commentary is available in 10 Upanishads. If you read the Muktiko Upanishad, you will find all the names of the mantras, all the names of the Upanishads. All these 112 Upanishad names are mentioned there. 108 Upanishad names are mentioned there. Okay, so that was all about the mantras. I wanted to just give you a flavor and tell you what Upanishads will teach us in the following sessions. Now, before I start, I didn't think of Adhyasa Bhashyam, what it is and how we can understand Adhyasa. It was not planned by me, but suddenly I thought maybe before this Upanishad session, I should talk a little bit about Adhyasa. I will just introduce the topic in about I will take it up next week. If I introduce, then it is a continuous thing. Next week, I will talk about Adhyasa Bhashyam. Now, Adhyasa means, in simple term, it means superimposition. Normally, this is Adhyasa means superimposition. And Shankaracharya, before he wrote the Brahma Sutra, he wrote a commentary on this superimposition. It's a very famous commentary. It's a very, very famous commentary. It will take 12 or 13 sessions if I have to cover the whole commentary. I'm going to try and give you in a nutshell, what is this commentary all about? I will present this next week. Let me see how much time it will take. Because this Adhyasa Bhashyam is very important before you start the Upanishad itself. This is my own understanding of the Upanishad, because I learned this when I was doing the Brahma Sutra, but then I thought that this is important even before we study the Upanishads, because it makes the Atma knowledge very clear. If you know this, it will make the knowledge of consciousness, awareness easier. So I will try to do this. I have a small note here, but I'm not, this is the note, and then I will start the Kaivalyopunisha. So I will introduce this topic because many people have written in the past, they want me to cover Adhyasa Bhashyam. But, it takes, like I said, 10, 15 sessions for me to explain Adhyasa, superimposition. But I will try to put it in a small nutshell so that you get a fair meaning of what is this superimposition. In simple terms, it means I am the pure consciousness, I am the substratum, I am the core. The pure awareness is the core of my personality. Everything else is a superimposition. And the first superimposition is the I thought in this body. The moment I wake up, I get the I thought. That I thought is the first error. And that I thought is called as the pramata, the knower in this body. Then this I thought gets all other thoughts during the experiences throughout the day. And this I thought, the ego I thought, goes on doing all actions, enjoying, doing, waking, running, sleeping, eating. All that is done by this pramata I thought. So if I know that this is the I thought, which is an ego, it is a shadow, it is not a real entity, it appears as an entity, it appears that it has the power to act, power to know things. Actually speaking, it is the power of Atma which gets transferred. This is what Shankaracharya wanted to explain, and this is the basis on which he wrote all his commentaries on the 10 Upanishads. If you understand Adhyasa, when you go through the Upanishads, it will become very easy. Because every time when there is a description of Atma, you will not be flabbergasted. You will not be thinking, oh, this is the end of my intellect, so I can't think anymore. Because that is the purpose of this Upanishad. It wants you to drop your intellect and rise and fly beyond the intellect. Anyway, we'll cover that. We'll conclude now. And Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Okay. Is there any questions from anybody today? You can unmute yourself and ask your questions if you have any of them. Yes, yeah, Shama, tell me.
I have to salute you today. I have to salute you. Yeah, it's extraordinary, extraordinary. I mean, to speak about the Upanishad in such a, it's like a, the shuka bird, it is digested. It has been digested so well by you that you can actually just spill over, and it's good enough for the listeners. It's so beautifully. I don't know. This really words completely. I'm left speechless to describe the experience. Very meditative, very meditative. Your whole talk was exceptionally meditative. I was just feeling I am in another place, because how you've encapsulated this whole of the Brahma Vidya or Atma Vidya in all of these 14 topics that you have picked up, 14 Upanishads. So that's just one thought which I wanted to share with the others. There's only one question which I was thinking. The Vachyartha, can I just understand it as a common knowledge, or what we say an ignorance or avidya maya? Can we understand that? You know what we commonly see, this is the word, this is who I am, that common knowledge.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah, yeah.
It is the common
an ordinary
person. When you whether you are a jnani also, when you are interacting with the world, you are interacting with a vachyartha.
Yeah,
all your transactions are with vachyartha.
Correct.
Only when you ask the question, who am I? At that time, you're using lakshya.
Okay. And in this, then the lakshartha is, so it is really completely about teaching, learning. So it is from the Guru, the Gita, Jnanam, the Upanishads,
yes, it is,
all
it
of them.
is, yes.
And the central principle is to actually, the Upadesha that the Guru or the scriptures are giving, Tat Tvam Asi,
yes.
that seeming knowledge, you are this, is not correct. Delete that, drop that idea. And
yes.
you are the pure Atman, Tat Tvam Asi. Yeah.
Yes.
And following that, so that is the Upadesha giving. Following that, then you are doing the Anusandhanam, isn't it?
Yes.
Which is the Shravanam, Mananam, Nidithyasnam. So you're doing the, and following that, then you have the Anubhava.
Yes. I am that pure self. That's all.
Yeah. So in all those 4 Mahavakyas, that's precisely what is happening. Yeah.
Yes.
So what is the first bit? The Pragyanam Brahma.
Pragyanam Brahma is the
is it Vachyartha?
It is no, it is not Vachyartha. It is Lakshartha. Pragyanam Brahma. It is telling a student that this is a fact. You see, it is a fact. It is consciousness is Brahman. This is the first teaching a student gets. This is what is the teaching of the Upanishads. Prajnanam is Brahman. Prajnanam means consciousness. Consciousness in your body. I am conscious. That consciousness which is aware of my thoughts, that consciousness is Brahman. There is no use only knowing your own consciousness which is in this body. That is only part of your teaching. You should be able to relate that consciousness principle with the entire cosmos, with the entire you. That is the teaching. So Prajnanam is Brahman. That means the light in you is the light in the whole cosmos. And unless you do that, you will not be free. You see, unless you tell yourself, I am that light in which the whole world is rising, whole world is resting, and the whole world is resolving. See, what you have to do actually is keep whatever you see in the world, like this body, like the mind, like the world, all anatma, you say that this is jadam. Jadam means it is inert. And what is the factor which is conscious of this, which is sentient factor? That is my nature, and that is independent of this objective world. So that is how you learn.
So therefore, the consciousness is one. Although it's seemingly limited in different
Yes.
walls as it is
Correct.
enclosed.
That's correct.
Which you've
Yes.
explained. So
Yes.
Vedanta,
And see, your body,
Yes.
for example, space. See, I gave the example of space in a small pot. Space in the room. Compared to the space in a pot, you say that the room space is bigger than the pot space.
Yeah.
Space
So, but
is,
it's a seeming reality. You break the walls and
Correct.
there is
Yes,
one consciousness.
Yes.
So Vedanta, therefore, and you also said that this is one experience we probably have every day during our Sushupti state, where there is only one consciousness, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. However, in our waking state, we are unaware of it. So the Vedanta is therefore asking us to wake up, to see this divisionless, limitless, one pure consciousness that exists within me, the Jiva, and without and all around this Deha, so whatever else is existing. So my question is that really, in real terms, in reality, there is no Anatma or Atma. It is actually only one.
Yes.
There is no Jada or there is no Jada, or you can't separate out, the rocks, the mountains, the water, and the consciousness which we call in the living creatures. It actually is all one, isn't it? Brahman is.
Yes. This is much more explained in the verse Sadeva Saumyam Idam Agre Asit. In Chandogya Upanishad, this Mahavakya comes. Sat Eva, that means this Sat was existing before the creation.
Okay.
And this Sat exists even now. And this Sat will continue even when in the future.
Yeah.
This Sat is pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure existence. So this is, once you have this knowledge, especially the knowledge of Ekam, Eva, Advitiyam.
Correct.
You see, Ekam, Eva, Advitiyam, there are 20 verses in the chapter 2 of the Panchadasi.
Okay.
To explain what is this Ekam, what is this Eva, and what is this Advitiyam.
All right.
Ekam stands for Sajatiya Beda, Swagata Beda. Swagata Beda, that means internally there is no parts in pure consciousness. That is what is Ekam. Eva stands for Sajatiya Beda. So the first one is Swagata Beda. Sajatiya Beda is indicated by the word Evam. There is no similar consciousness. There is only one consciousness. Okay, and the last one is Advitiyam. Advitiyam means it is non-dual. If this is where you are saying non-dual means what? Jadam doesn't have independent existence.
Yeah.
There is nothing exists apart from this consciousness. That is why we say it is non-dual. Everything appears in this consciousness. The whole world appears in this consciousness, which is that Advitiyam principle which you are trying to explain.
Yeah.
As something which the whole world is not there except this consciousness.
Yeah. So one last question and a doubt which I have is, so once this the body goes, the jiva actually with its subtle impressions, so it is merged into the whole consciousness, isn't it?
Yes, it
so
is.
There is no division there, isn't it? So it's not.
Yes.
So how does then that individual jiva then will take another life? Because if it's all become one, like the water, if it's all thing has become water, how that one particular jiva, this is a very peculiar thing. I mean, I just through your talk, I was listening and I was thinking.
No.
But
See,
come on, if it merges, then how is that one jiva still existing? It's not.
okay. Okay, it's a very good question. But the question is, you are asking this question will come to all the junior students. The moment you listen to Mahavakyam and you have understood the Mahavakyam, you are a senior student.
Okay.
Till you hear the Mahavakyam, you are a junior student of Vedanta. For the junior student, we talk about rebirth.
Right.
For a senior student, we don't talk about the first birth also.
All right.
There is no birth at all when you listen to the Mahavakya. So you become a senior student. When you are a senior student, this is the way you should understand. Till now, I was a junior student. A junior student means I am in the triangular format. I am the Jiva, there is a Jagat, there is an Ishvara. This is the triangular format. Binary. After I listen to the Mahavakyam, there is only two things, Atma and Anatma. Yeah. And actually speaking, it is not two, it is only one.
Yeah.
It is only Atma alone. That is why in the 12 Upanishads, everywhere it was said, it alone is, it alone is, it alone is. But your sense organs cannot perceive.
No.
Your sense organs, because the intellect becomes completely dysfunctional and it loses itself when it listens to the Mahavakya and says, is there something like this? Really? Is there some Sat principle? Is there any consciousness principle? And then you say, oh my God, this is what is the Upanishad revealing. It is telling me, don't think about Atma. That if you start thinking, you are thinking of Anatma.
Anatma, yeah.
Yeah, so drop your intellect. This is the pole. This is the pole vaulter. He has reached the top of the pole and now drops the pole. And he is now flying in the transcendental field.
So experientially in your talk, I actually felt, that the bhava.
Yes.
Where is the birth? Where is the death? I was actually asking myself.
Yes.
I thought this is madness.
Yes.
This is madness.
It is all your own imaginations of the. These are all at the lower level. See why? That is why we say we still have to give an explanation of our life. You see, after knowledge, the scriptures don't stop there. You become a jnani, but then you still have to give an explanation of what is it which you are experiencing in life. To give that explanation, the Shruti comes to a lower level and it compromises. And then he says, yes, there is a life, there is a law of karma. And then as for the law of karma, you are born, then you will be reborn. The entire prarabdha karma, sanchita karma, all that model is explained at the vyavaharika level.
Yeah.
At the higher level, you learn to drop. This is where I said from a triangular format, the moment you start thinking, that is where you start meditating.
Yeah.
When you start meditation, don't think of the Jiva Jagat formula.
No.
You only say, I am the Atma, everything else is Anatma.
Yeah. You can just float out of your.
Yes.
Self.
Then it is a right way to meditate.
Yeah.
There is a question here, how to meditate on the 4 Mahavakyas. I mean the sequence. The sequence is, first you take the first Vakya, which is Pragyanam Brahman. Lakshana Vakyam. This is called as the Lakshana. It tells you what is this pure consciousness. So you tell yourself Pragyanam Brahman. This consciousness which is in my body is the consciousness, is a light of consciousness in the entire universe. Step number 1. Step number 2, you go to the Upadesha Vakyam. Where is this consciousness? Is it outside somewhere or is it in my body? The second Mahavakyam says, Tattvamasi, you are that consciousness. Therefore, I will meditate that consciousness is myself, is my own nature. That is the second step. Then the third step is Anusandhana Vakyam. Anusandhana Vakyam is the all this is Brahman. I am Atma Brahma. This entire universe is only a manifestation of that pure consciousness. So what I experience every day when I get up in the morning, I am experiencing the same consciousness with form, with name and form. And the same consciousness I am experiencing when the world is in unmanifest condition in the sleep state. So this is the step 1, 2, and 3. You have to deliberately say these things in your meditation. And the last one is Anubhava Vakyam. And how do I say? I have gone through stage 1. I know there is consciousness in this body, which is the cause of the entire universe. And this consciousness, I can experience it as my pure presence. The third step is this consciousness is all pervading. And the last is I am this consciousness. I have no doubt. The consciousness was never born. It will never die. I am the eternal, immortal consciousness. So this is the way to meditate on the 4 Mahavakyams. If you know how to meditate this, like I just now told you, meditation becomes very easy. Then the mind will not go into the world of, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, and I know this, I have to attend to this and attend to that. Because now your mind is focused on Atma alone. So even when your mind goes off and suddenly then you say, okay, I will attend to those other things later on. Let me now think about Atma. I have heard the Mahavakyams. Repeatedly let it happen. Even when you're working, your mind can go in the direction of Atma and it can remain as the pure Atma. And when your mind learns to do this, then it is like cycling. You can be anywhere. You can be operating in a operation theater. At the same time, I am that pure. You can be cooking at home. You can be playing. You can be working feverishly in the world. You can remain as Atma because the body is working, the body is acting, the sense organs are acting in the world as per the law of karma. That's all. I will go through this whole motion. Then you are not afraid of death. You are a liberated being. Okay, any other questions from anybody else?
Adhyasa
Bhashyam.
Adhyasa Bhashyam, you are bringing it so that if I am Brahman, everything is superimposition. That's all.
Yes, that's correct. The moment I take Adhyasa Bhashyam next week, the following week, I don't think anybody will be there in the class.
or in real life.
That's correct. Yeah. See, it's such a simple thing. Shankaracharya says, why are you breaking your head with so many mantras and so many things? Just understand Adhyasa. Very simple. After you understand Adhyasa, then you can read whatever Upanishad you want. No problem.
What, Shekharji?
Yes.
Someday, not now, but someday, please, because I'm sure you have the secret. So someday I would like you to, on a Vyavaharika level, you know, just now what you said, say if I'm alone in the doing cooking by myself, alone in my own consciousness, it's perfectly simple and easy, you know, to actually be in my conscious awareness state. That's not a problem. However, if there are other people's consciousness, that really impinges on my consciousness. So I'm asking you, you must know the trick. So someday, please give us the secret of how do you overcome that? You know, the other social consciousness or other consciousness, or not the satsanga. Satsanga is perfectly fine. You know, that consciousness is assumed and everybody is in the same consciousness. So it's perfectly fine. I have no problems.
You
but
see,
this,
I'll tell you the clue right now. The clue is, don't think about consciousness while you're in Vyavaharika world at all.
Really? Oh.
Really. Don't think about consciousness at all. Just keep doing your actions. That's all. Let the actions come out of you say, this has to be done today, right now. I have to do the cooking. I have to go out. I have to do the shopping. I have to do this. Let the Vyavahara go on. You cannot stop Vyavahara because that is Prakriti. It is nature. Let it go on. Don't bring your the thought of consciousness while you're working. Bring all your attention in your hands and feet. Let your mind be focused on the work in hand.
What about conversation? What about conversation with others?
You converse as if you are an ignorant person with others. Don't converse. Yeah, you be ignorant among the ignorant. That's all.
Now you've said it. Now you've given us the secret.
Yes.
Be ignorant in the world of ignorance.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That is perfect. See, now I know it. Now I know it. Now I understand.
That's it. Just be ignorant. Everybody's ignorant. I'm also ignorant. I go around like everybody else. That's all.
Yeah, this is perfect. This is perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a acha mantra.
Yes. Okay, which book is recommended for Adhyasa Bhashyam? The book is Shankaracharya's Brahma Sutra Introduction. You can see the book. I don't know. Somebody will be able to locate it. I think my friend Bart is an expert in this. He located 112 Upanishads PDF and he sent to me. He sent to me within 6 hours after I finished my Upanishad. He asked me whether I have the PDF file. I said, I don't have it. He said, I will search throughout the night. He worked and searched, and next day morning, he said, here it is.
That's all.
Which I'm going to send it to you, all of you in the WhatsApp group. Within 20 seconds, you will have 112 Upanishads in your mobile.
Oh my God.
So I have to request Bart again. You can see the Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. It's available. It should be available in a PDF format. The whole Bhashyam is there in Sanskrit, and you can get an English translation. But see, if you are very keen, I have 14 lectures of one Swamiji on this Bhashyam, which is there in the website. In the Vedanta website, you will find the 14 lectures transliteration. You know that some notes which I made from those 14 lectures. It's available. What I am going to do is, I am going to take out of those 14 lectures which I heard. I'm going to form one lecture and take it up next week. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to do. I'm just taking from the same 14 lectures and condensing it into one lecture and giving it to you next week. But to answer your question, Adhyasa Bhashyam is available, and that is the best Bhashyam. If you read and understand that Bhashyam once, then all your questions will get solved. Your doubts will vanish. Because you see, what it says very simple is, there is a I thought which is born every time the mind wakes up. You see, that is the first thing Shankaracharya says. And that I thought is a ego thought which acts as if it is the Sakshi.
Yeah.
Because of that I thought, the body becomes sentient, and because of that, what happens is I start mixing up Atma Dharma with Anatma Dharma. The attributes of Atma is I know. But the body says I know. Body is inert. Body cannot know. That is what Shankaracharya is saying. Body is born. You say, I am born. The body's attributes you're throwing on the Atma. So this constant feeling of Atma and Anatma mix-up, which is going on throughout your life, you learn once you learn how to separate Atma Dharma, which is the knowingness, which is the consciousness, the sentient principle, from the Anatma, which is the body and the mind. Once and for all, you try to, in your own mind, understand this discrimination. And he says that all the samsara, the sorrow which we experience, is only because of this mix-up which is going on. At any moment in your life, you want to get rid of your sorrow, immediately put on your hat of the Upanishad. Is there a mix-up in my thinking? Am I thinking correctly? Am I mixing the consciousness and am I mixing it with the body or with the mind? 99% it is with the body, 10% is with the mind, and then at that time you drop your identification, you are free. This is the gist of that one lecture of maybe I'll take 1 hour. I'm telling you in 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, very good.
What can you do? When you ask question, I have to answer, you see. Okay. Thank you. And okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Vijay has got a question. Yeah. Yes, Pandita, you had a question?
No, sir, I just want to thank you. Very clear explanation.
Okay, thank you. All right. She's a PhD student on a philosophy. You're doing in philosophy, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad you.
Wow.
Okay. Vijaya, you have a question. You
Thank
said
you,
you have
sir.
a question. I think she's already late. She has gone with some other. She has left the talk. Okay, so next week we will catch up on the Adhyasa Bhashyam. Very interesting topic, very important topic. Don't miss it. First 15-20 minutes, I'll try and finish it. And then we'll probably start with the Kaivalyopunisha. Thank you. Good night.
Hari Om, Shekharji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you, sir.
Shekharji. Good night.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.